Chicago, on the shores of Lake Michigan, the California Zephyr travels to San Francisco over the lines of 3 railroads. From Chicago to Denver, it's a Burlington train. At Union Station in Chicago, passengers board the Zephyr. The schedule has been planned so you go by some of the nation's most spectacular scenery during daylight. The stainless steel cars of the California Zephyr were built by the Budd Company. 5 of these are Vista Dome cars, affording passengers an unobstructed view along the way. The scenery at first is gentle. You see the cornfields of Illinois. Soon, you reach the broad Mississippi River, which the Zephyr crosses on a half-mile-long bridge as it approaches Burlington, Iowa. Meals are served in a 48-passenger diner that is equipped with an air curtain, eliminating cooking odors. That evening, you'll see people in the Vista Domes enjoying the moonlit countryside and watching the signals flash. You can have a snack just before bedtime in the buffet lounge. That night, you sleep on a foam rubber mattress at 90 miles an hour. The train has private bedrooms like this one, semi-private sections, roomettes, and 3 reclining Vista Dome chair coaches. Early the next morning, on entering the Burlington's Denver yards, the Zephyr goes through the car washer. Vista Domes are scrubbed, for the most spectacular length of railroad in the United States is ahead. A Burlington diesel switcher pulls the train backward into Union Station, Denver. At Denver, the Denver and Rio Grande Western takes over from the Burlington, and a Rio Grande diesel-electric locomotive replaces the Burlington locomotive that hauled the train from Chicago. Here, the California Zephyr enters Rio Grande tracks. The train begins climbing almost before leaving the Denver city limits. And as the train climbs the front range of the Rockies, passengers take seats to watch. From Denver, itself 1 mile high, the train moves up through short tunnels. Past breathtaking views. Up to 6,000 feet. Around sweeping curves, up to 7,000 feet. Climbing, climbing, climbing up the Colorado Rockies. Up to 8,000 feet. Up to 9,239 feet above sea level, and the Moffett Tunnel, over 6 miles long, through the Continental Divide. And then the train starts down, gradually down, past lakes 1.5 miles high. Down into the wild, narrow, deep gash that is known as Gore Canyon. Geologists claim Gore Canyon was once an arm of the Pacific Ocean. In Glenwood Canyon of the Colorado River, the east and westbound California Zephyrs meet and pass. 6 complete trains are necessary to provide daily service in both directions between Chicago and San Francisco. Of some 70 cars making up these 6 trains, ownership is divided by the 3 railroads, substantially proportionate to their mileage. You see an occasional lonesome ranch, and the primitive beauty of the wide open spaces. Late the second evening out of Chicago, the Western Pacific takes over at Salt Lake City for the last lap of the trip to San Francisco. That night, the Zephyr crosses western Utah and all of Nevada. The next morning, the train enters the Sierra Nevadas in California, and for 118 miles follows a corkscrew route through the beautiful Feather River Canyon. At Williams Loop, the California Zephyr crosses a viaduct through which it will pass but a moment later. One of the engineering features that gives the Western Pacific its 1% maximum grade through the Sierras. Here are blue waters, a deep gorge, foaming rapids, and forests of pine and spruce. In the Feather River Canyon, numerous bridges crisscross the river and each other. The train crosses a high bridge, then circles under the highway bridge at the point known as Twin Bridges. Out of the Feather River Canyon, on toward San Francisco, the train moves across the last flat land to Oakland Mole or Pier. From Oakland, over 2,500 miles from Chicago, passengers leave the California Zephyr to cross by ferry one of the largest landlocked harbors in the world, San Francisco Bay. The Bay's islands, its hills, its bridges, its entrance to the sea, the Golden Gate, and the skyline of San Francisco itself. All these mean that the magnificent scenery along the Zephyr's route does not end until the trip itself is over.